"Please, take them off," she said. The words trembled out of her like a leaf fighting the wind, barely strong enough to reach him where he stood by the barn door. Jonah McAllister was not a man easily rattled. Years of ranch work had built a certain steadiness into him, slow, careful hands, quiet footsteps, a patient way of listening to cattle breathe. But something in the woman's voice made him pause halfway through untying the burlap sack she had thrust into his arms. He glanced at her again. Her face, framed by loose strands of wheat blonde hair, was pale with fear or exhaustion, he wasn't sure which. Dust clung to her clothes like she had been running for miles. And her eyes, a dark, troubled brown, refused to look at the sack. "Please," she whispered again. "Just, take them off before you open it." He realized she meant the leather gloves on his hands, tough, scar-scratched ranching gloves he wore for handling barbed wire or hauling equipment. That alone was puzzling. People didn't come to a ranch miles from town asking a stranger to open mystery sacks with bare hands. "Why?" he asked. "Just do it," she said. It wasn't a command so much as a plea. Something inside her had frayed dangerously close to breaking. Jonah slowly peeled off the gloves, tucking them into his back pocket. The evening wind hummed through the tall grass, sweeping long shadows across the yard. The dogs, normally rowdy at a newcomer's arrival, whined nervously and curled near the water trough. That unsettled him more than anything. Animals sense things. Things people overlooked. He loosened the knot on the sack and pulled the coarse fabric apart. What he saw inside made him inhale sharply. Not because it was grotesque, though in a way, it was, but because nothing about it made sense. "Is this real?" he murmured. The woman swallowed hard. "I don't know anymore." Nestled inside the sack were stones. Perfectly smooth river stones, pale gray and warm, not cold, to the touch. But etched onto their surfaces were tiny, pulsing lines of light, like veins glowing beneath skin. They shimmered faintly in a rhythm too precise to be random. Alive, Jonah thought before stopping himself. Stones weren't alive. And yet one of them throbbed softly, matching a heartbeat that seemed impossible to ignore. He touched it with his bare fingers and flinched. Not from heat or pain, more from the sensation of being recognized. The stone responded to him like it had been waiting. "Where did you get these?" he asked quietly. The woman pressed her lips together, fighting tears. "They were under my porch. Wrapped in an old quilt that wasn't mine. I heard something knocking last night. Soft knocks. Like someone tapping. When I opened the door nothing was there except the sack." She took a shaky breath. "And they were moving. Not rolling like something settling. Moving." Jonah lifted one stone carefully. The glow inside brightened, swirling like slow-burning fire. "I didn't bring them to the sheriff," she continued. "I thought of it. But something told me not to. Something, in here." She tapped her chest lightly. "And I started thinking of your ranch. You're outside of town. Quiet. Safer. I don't know why but I felt like I had to bring them to you." Jonah didn't know what to say to that. He'd lived quietly for years, ever since the accident that had taken his brother. People rarely came to him unless they needed help with stubborn cattle or directions through the back roads. But this woman, he didn't even know her name, had come carrying something that felt older than the land itself. He lowered the stone back into the sack. "What's your name?" "Lena," she murmured. "Lena Harrow." He nodded. "All right, Lena. Let's take this inside." She hesitated. "Are you sure?" "No," Jonah said honestly. "But you asked me to help. And I reckon you're not safe out here alone with, whatever this is." She followed him into the barn, where the warm smell of hay and old wood wrapped around them. Jonah set the sack on a workbench and studied the stones again. The light inside them pulsed faintly, as if sensing the darkness around. Lena kept her distance, arms wrapped around herself. "There's something else," she said. "When I tried to leave my house this morning, the front door wouldn't open. Not stuck. Held." Jonah stiffened. "Held by what?" "I couldn't see it. But when I touched the handle my arm went numb. And the whispering started." "Whispering?" She nodded. "Like someone speaking through a crack in the wall. Too quiet to understand. Too close to ignore." Jonah kept his face calm though a ripple of unease slid down his back. He lifted another stone. It vibrated, humming like an insect wing trapped in amber. "Have you ever seen anything like this before?" she asked. "No," he turned the stone over. "But these aren't normal. They're carved, no, shaped, like someone sculpted them from the inside." A faint vibration tremored through the barn floor. The horses in the far stalls snorted and shifted nervously. Jonah and Lena exchanged a wide-eyed look. "That came from outside," he said. They stepped to the open barn door. The sun had dipped fully behind the hills, leaving a bruised purple sky. The wind had stopped. The stillness was complete, too complete. Even the insects had gone silent. Then they heard it. A soft knock. Tap, 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 coming from the direction of Jonah's house. Lena grabbed Jonah's sleeve, her fingers trembling. "That's the sound," she whispered. Jonah grabbed a lantern, lit it, and handed it to her. "Stay behind me." They walked cautiously toward the house. The knocking grew louder, not violent, just persistent, steady, purposeful. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the back door. Jonah motioned for Lena to stay to the side. He approached slowly, muscles tense. The tapping stopped. For a long moment there was only silence. Then a low, drawn-out scrape whispered across the wood, like fingertips tracing the doorframe. Jonah's breath thinned. "If someone's out there," he called, "step into the light." Nothing answered. He opened the door fast, swinging it wide, ready to confront whatever was there. But the porch was empty. Except... Lena gasped. Another burlap sack lay on the step, identical to the first. Jonah didn't touch it. Not immediately. The lantern light flickered, casting long trembling shadows across the boards. "Someone knows we opened the first one," Lena whispered. "Or something," Jonah murmured. They carried the sack back to the barn. He removed his gloves again. Lena watched with held breath. Jonah loosened the knot, pulled the fabric apart, and froze. The stones inside this sack were darker, carved with deeper lines, glowing a cold blue rather than warm gold. But the worst part was the shape. These weren't just stones. They were arranged deliberately, carefully, in the form of a hand. 5 finger-like stones, each pulsing slowly, attached by glowing threads of light to a palm-shaped stone at the center. Lena backed away until she hit a post. "Jonah," she whispered, voice cracking. That wasn't in the first sack." "No," he said. "It wasn't." The hand twitched. Once. Twice. Jonah stumbled back, nearly knocking over a stool. "It moved," Lena cried. "You saw it move." The stone fingers curled slowly inward, as if making a fist. The barn temperature dropped sharply. Cold breath fogged before their faces. Lena clutched Jonah's arm, her nails digging into him. "We have to get rid of them," she said. "We have to." The first sack began to glow brighter. The stones inside vibrated, humming in unison with the new set. Jonah realized too late that bringing them together had triggered something. Outside, the wind returned in a violent gust, rattling the barn walls like something massive had brushed against them. The lantern flickered. Jonah grabbed it with one hand and pulled Lena with the other. "We're leaving," he said. "Now." But before they